3, 2, 1.
Good afternoon, and welcome to this virtual town hall for College of Charleston students, parents, and families. I'm Ron Menchaca, Vice President for University Communications, and I'll be moderating today's event off camera. I'm joined by President Andrew Hsu and the college's senior leadership team, all of whom are participating remotely from separate locations. This is our 8th round of virtual town halls. We held our first town hall more than 3 months ago. The format for today's event will be similar to past ones and will last about 45 minutes. We'll start with opening remarks from President Hsu, followed by opening remarks from Alicia Cadill, our Executive Vice President for Student Affairs, and then we'll get to your questions. You can submit questions live using the Q&A window at the top right of your screen. After I read each selected question aloud, the appropriate presenter will respond. Selected questions will appear in the Q&A window and on a slide on your main screen. If we don't read your question live during today's event, we'll still try to answer you directly through the chat feature. You are also welcome to submit your questions to our COVID-19 email address at any time, and we'll follow up as quickly as possible. That address is covid19@cfc.edu. And with that, I'll turn it over to President Hsu for opening remarks. President Hsu?
Thank you, Ron. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm glad you all could join us today. I want to begin with a thank you and an introduction. First, let me say thank you to Dr. Fran Welch, who served as the interim provost of the college this past year, and you have seen her at these town hall meetings many times answering students' questions. She and I moved into our respective offices on the same day in Randolph Hall in May of 2019, which seems like a lifetime ago. We have experienced a lot together over the past year. Fran was a great partner to me throughout, and she is a wonderful advocate for our students. She returns now to her role as Dean of the School of Education. Thank you, Fran, for everything. You have done an amazing job. And joining us for the first time today is Dr. Suzanne Austin, the college's new provost and executive vice president of academic affairs, who officially started yesterday on July 1st. Provost Austin came to us from the University of Alabama at Birmingham, where she served as senior vice provost for nearly a decade. I won't go through her CV, but suffice to say that Suzanne is a gifted educator, an academic mind, and a historian whose expertise is in colonial Latin America affairs. Interestingly, her 2003 book titled A Pest in the Land covers epidemics in the Americas before and after 1492. Her research area in demography and epidemiology is certainly pertinent today, providing perhaps a reference in history and proves that history does repeat itself. Provost Austin is a great addition to the College of Charleston senior leadership team. I look forward to working with her and implementing our strategic plan. I'm sure a lot of our students will have an opportunity to work with her in your years here as a student. Could our producer please highlight Suzanne at this time? Welcome, Provost Austin. Now I would like to share with you where my head is right now after weeks of our collective planning and thinking about the fall semester. Simply put, I am hopeful but cautious. Like you, I'm reading everything I can about the pandemic. Much of it is contradictory, much of this is disheartening. But I take heart in our people. We're fortunate here at the College of Charleston to have a group of very dedicated professionals working with partners at the Medical University of South Carolina and the South Carolina Department of Health and Environmental Control to find a way forward. As our various working groups have developed plans affecting every aspect of campus, they have done so thoughtfully, thoroughly, and with safety and health at the forefront of their minds. While at the same time, they're trying to retain some element of the traditional university experience. It is an incredibly difficult balancing act, like walking a tightrope in shifting winds. I am proud of the work our campus has done in creating Back on the Bricks, our omnibus plan for returning to campus. The title of the plan references the college's iconic herringbone patterned brick sidewalks across the historic core of our downtown campus. And like our famous bricks, we may get tripped up in unexpected ways. In fact, I'm certain of it, but we will then right ourselves and adapt. I sent a message to the college community yesterday with a link to the Back on the Bricks website. That address is go.cfc.edu/bricks. Our plan to return to campus is not one of magical thinking or fantasy. Our plans are not for show either. What we have outlined in Back on the Bricks, such as required face coverings, social distancing practices, both inside and outside of the classroom, constant cleaning, and a focus on personal hygiene, these are going to be the new normal for a while, for all of us. This fall is not going to be like some fad diet, where we try it for a few days and then slip back to our old ways. There are no cheat days in a pandemic. We need to stay vigilant, to be personally committed to following the guidelines and hold each other accountable. It will be through reinforcement and repetition that we ensure our collective success and safety this fall. I want to thank the many people who helped outline our Back to Campus plan. They were faculty, staff, students, family members, and local health partners. Their work has been nothing short of extraordinary. That being said, these plans may change. As I said before, right now, South Carolina and Charleston County are experiencing an increase in positive cases. College leadership working with health officials is closely monitoring these numbers and will adjust as necessary. As much as I wish I could say that our plans are carved in stone, they're not. No one can speak with any certainty right now. So we're also developing contingency plans as well. This is not a time for unrealistic optimism, nor a time for complete panic or utter despair. This is a difficult moment for everyone here in our country and also around the world. And the choices we're making are not perfect, to say the least. However, we're making some sacrifices today and in the short term to ensure a brighter tomorrow. So I want to reiterate how important it is for everyone to do their part right now, today, this week, and the weeks ahead. It is in our single actions each and every day that we affect and control our collective destinies. On that front, I am very optimistic. So now, let's address some of your questions. Ron?
Thanks, President Hsu. I believe Lisha had some brief opening remarks as well.
Yes, thank you, Ron, and hello, everyone. Thanks for being with us tonight. I'm Alicia Cadell in Student Affairs, and I just wanted to talk with you a little bit about housing and dining and where we are right now. I know you'll have lots of questions about that this evening, and I wanted to kind of give you some parameters because we're likely not going to have all the answers that we would like to have for you or that you are hoping for tonight. So I wanted to share upfront what we do know and what we're working on. As I hope you know from President Hsu's comments in our previous town halls, student safety and their well-being are our top priorities in the residence halls and on campus. And so we're certainly focused in the halls on providing a healthy environment that will be in the place that will be your home. As such, like all of our homes and our lives at home right now, things are going to need to happen a little bit differently to allow us to focus on these priorities of health and safety and well-being. Our plans have been evolving over these past many weeks, as recently as yesterday morning, as we follow the CDC and DHEC guidance and seek input from other institutions who are also creating model plans. So we really ask for your patience as we're diligently working to put plans in place with all of the details so that we can provide the best experience that we possibly can. We don't have a lot of the answers that you may wish for us to have right now, but I assure you we are working constantly to move everything forward as quickly as possible. We're reducing the density of the number of residents in our residence halls on campus. We're working from a plan of about 65% of our past occupancy. So this allows us to reduce the number of students sharing restrooms and restroom fixtures and provides more private spaces, which will help the students have more opportunities if somebody in their space or they become sick with COVID-19. So our priority for our on-campus housing will be our new freshman students, because we understand that this is quite a transition even when we're not in a pandemic. So we're committed to doing all we can to support you and all of our students in this successful transition. Because of our focus on keeping new students on campus, most of our returning students will need to be housed at off-campus locations that we partner with. And we're working diligently to secure these spaces for our returners, though we are still working on a lot of details of that. And I know you really want to know your assignment and what those options are going to be, and we're still working to figure all of that out for you. This effort is a top priority in all of the offices at the college that we need to help us get this into place, and we are working as quickly as we can. And any space that we secure for you off campus would also have the support of the college, including the support of our residence life staff. Our goal is to provide a space for all students who completed your housing application and have indicated by July 8th, as noted in your email you received yesterday, that you still wish to have housing provided through the college. We're also creating spaces as part of this plan of de-densifying space for self-isolation and for residential students who may have symptoms of COVID-19 but haven't received their test results yet. So we're looking to have spaces so we can provide that space for students to try to minimize any other students that might be exposed while you're sick or while you're waiting on a test result. What's very important now is that students and families read and carefully follow the directions from our campus housing office via your email. Every student who completed an application by June 1 and is still interested in housing through the college must take action by July the 8th. If you have questions, please reach out via the contact information in those messages. We hope to confirm these housing and placement assignments and send out specific move-in instructions by the end of July. Move-in is scheduled for August 20th to the 23rd, and you'll have a specific time to move in and a date, which we'll confirm as we move further in the housing placement process. We understand that you want to know as many details as about possible as where you will live. So please, again, your patience as we continue to work through this to get everything in place is very appreciated. And as noted on the screen, we will have a town hall just about housing and dining on the evening of July 22nd, so we can focus specifically on these plans for these two areas and respond to your questions about those on that evening. So we will continue our work and efforts and really appreciate your patience. We know this is a stressful time, and we're doing everything we can to make sure that you're provided for in a way that keeps you safe and as healthy as possible. Thank you, Ron.
Great. Thanks, Alicia. Okay, let's jump right in. Lots of housing related questions. And the first question here, Alicia addressed this partially, but I'll go ahead and read it. When will housing assignments be announced for returning students? Will they stay in the same dorm? Will they stay with suite mates they selected?
Sure, and I can start that question. So we will be working to get those details out certainly later this month. And for incoming new students, they will actually be able to select their specific room, which will be unique from what we've done in the past. And then for other students, as we're working on assignments, all of our assignments likely will be changing as we figure out where everyone's going to be. I know that's not what folks want to hear, but in an effort to follow our guidance and do what's best for our campus living community, those are the things we're working on, and those are not guarantees we're able to make right now.
Great, thank you. Okay, next question. Is there an online only option available for students this fall so they can just attend classes remotely from home?
So Ron, this is Fran Welch, former interim provost, and we have been working with the dean's chairs and program directors to make an online opportunity available for students who desire it.
Great. Thank you, Fran. Next question. How will Greek housing be affected and presumably other historic home housing? My daughter is supposed to live in her sorority house next year. Will anything be changing with those housing arrangements?
Hey, Ron, this is Amy Orr with Business and Auxiliary Services, and I'm happy to answer this question as best I can based on what we know at this time. So chapter houses will be used to house members of the chapter. We are working with each chapter based on the configuration of each house to determine how many residents the house can hold for this year. Again, we're trying to make sure that our occupancy is allowing for safe distancing and that everyone is as safe as possible. So we will be working with each of the chapters on that. As far as general historic houses are concerned, we're trying to get an update on our demand now. As Alicia shared earlier, we are unsure what all that will look like, but after students have reaffirmed their interest in housing by July 8th, we will have a better idea of how the different buildings will be assigned for the fall.
Thanks, Amy. And this next question is about residence halls. And I know you addressed some of this in your opening remarks, Alicia, but maybe there's some additional details you can share. So the question is, how will housing work for on-campus apartments such as George Street Apartments, Warren and Kelly House? Will there still be 4 people to an apartment?
Sure. So all of our on-campus spaces are being de-densified to minimize the number of people that share restrooms to help with cleanliness and to help if somebody needs to have their own restroom. So all of those will also have fewer students in the apartments and suites based on the configuration of each one.
Great. Thank you. Okay, next question about socializing. What sort of social events are planned to encourage freshmen to meet one another?
I can take this question too. So our student life area has been putting a lot of things together and partnering with student organizations and some of the student organization leaders, and hopefully some of you are out there listening to this. But we'll have a number of things that are virtual and small group in person that follow all of our directives. We'll have a wellness series that happens all during the fall semester that will be a real focus on virtual and small gatherings to do things around health and wellness. This will be something we really focus on, particularly as we get to October and towards midterms. But we'll also be, for students that are incoming, we'll be doing several things over during orientation in virtual engaging format as well. So if you're coming through orientation, watch for that. But there'll be a number of things. We're trying to keep some of our traditional events with a virtual component to them, but also some new things that will be hopefully fun and exciting, and maybe things that we continue on into the future as well.
Thank you. Okay, next question. Are visitors going to be allowed in the dorms?
Yes, I'll take this one too. And I think we've talked about this a little bit in some of our previous conversations through these town halls. But to start off with in the residence halls, as we let folks adjust to the new environment and adjust to how to flow in the buildings and how to stay safe, we're not going to allow visitors that are outside of the residence hall that you're in. And our hope is that as we adjust and adapt, that we'll be able to look at that and expand that once we get everyone transitioned and things are going well for us.
Thanks, Alicia. Next question is about athletics for our athletics director. Will basketball still be open for fans?
Thanks, Ron, and thanks, Haley, for the question. I'm Matt Roberts, Director of Athletics. That's to be determined, Haley. We don't know yet. It's still too early to tell what the state will be like for fans at athletics contests. Our first men's basketball game currently is scheduled to take place on November 10th. So we have quite some time between now and then to wait and see and assess that as we get into early fall, late summer, September, October timeframe. But my short answer is yes, I certainly hope so. And I hope you're there to see it.
Thanks, Matt. Okay, next question. My student is a final semester student this fall. Will there be job interviews on campus this fall?
And Ron, I can take that one as well. Yes, so our Career Center has really pivoted well on both virtual and then certainly as we can socially distant and be appropriate following our guidelines, we'll have our employers on campus, but we'll also have a lot of virtual opportunities, including some job fairs and different things as well. So we intend to have a pretty robust series of that type of programming and opportunities, even if it might look different than it has in the past. Our employers are still really interested in partnering with us and talking with our students.
Thanks, Alicia. Next question is a housing related question. If I am uncomfortable with the off-campus location you place me in due to safety health concerns, can I opt out at the time of placement without a cancellation penalty?
Hey, Ron, this is Amy again. I'm happy to answer that. So first and foremost, the college is making sure that any off-campus partners that we enter a partnership with are following the same guidelines that we're following on campus to ensure the health and safety of all students. As of right now, all students can cancel their applications without penalty as of July 15th. That includes students who go ahead and confirm that they're still interested in housing now. They still have until July 15th to cancel without penalty. Thank you.
Thanks, Amy. And then the next question is somewhat related. Is there anything you can say, Amy, about the off-campus housing that we're looking at and considering?
What I can say right now is that we are reaching out to the larger off-campus operators, the student housing operators on campus. Of course, you know, a lot of them are booked. So right now we are really still trying to figure out what off-campus housing may look like.
Thanks, Amy. Okay, next question. Buste Rivers is designated as isolation quarantine housing. Can you please clarify that Buste is available for any enrolled student if they are told by medical professionals to isolate/quarantine? My student will be living off campus with other off-campus students. Will she have access to isolate/quarantine in Buste Rivers?
Hi, Ronna, Alicia again, and I can work through this one. So one is the Buste will be our space where students self-isolate if they are positive with COVID-19. We'll have other arrangements for quarantine space while students are monitoring themselves or waiting on test results. However, that space is really designated the percentage of spaces for our on-campus residential population. So we'll also be working on some direction and guidance for our off-campus students about how to do this in their own spaces if they are off campus. Certainly the majority of our students live in spaces that aren't managed by the college. So we will be working with you on direction and guidance for that, and it would certainly look like it does in your own households at home. So we'll provide some guidance, but I encourage all students who are living off campus to be talking with your roommates and about how you're going to handle it if someone's positive or if you need to quarantine together because somebody was exposed. So we'll help provide guidance on that, but I encourage you also to be talking with your roommates about that as well.
Thanks, Alicia. Next question, academic question. Will grades this semester be pass-fail due to the circumstances?
So this is Fran, Ron, and I'll be glad to take that question. So for the summer, we went back to our standard grading scale, and we plan to have the standard grading scale for fall semester as well.
Thanks, Fran. Next question, are all instructors prepared for virtual instruction? What about science lab classes?
So we have been working, this is Fran again. We've been working diligently throughout the summer to get our faculty prepared for virtual instruction. Dean Van Delden in the School of Sciences and Mathematics and Chair Wes Dudgeon in Health and Human Performance have been working with their faculty to make sure that labs can be offered at a distance, but also with the distancing and use of masks and frequent hand washing that we will offer them as a hybrid format as well.
Thank you. Another question for our academic folks. Has the library's plan for social distancing been released?
I can take that one also, Ron. Fran again. Yes, John White, Dean of the Libraries, has done an extensive job of researching libraries all across in academic institutions all across the country. His plan was released to faculty and staff on Tuesday of this week. We can add it, Ron, to the COVID-19 or probably back on the BRICS website so that students have access to that as well. It's a very thorough plan for all of our libraries, not just Addlestone on campus, but Avery Center as well as the Marine Resource Center.
Yes, absolutely, Fran. We can add that if you can get that to me. Thank you. Next question is about testing. Will there be resources for free or reduced COVID-19 testing?
Hi, Ron. This is Bridget McLernan Sykes from Student Health Services, and I'll take that question. Yes, we're looking at all different sorts of options for students, faculty, and staff to get testing when it is required. At the moment, there's a lot of, there are regulations around being able to get the testing without any extra cost, but we will continue to look for all resources so that we are able to provide testing rapidly for anyone who actually needs it and with no cost, as much as we possibly can do.
Thanks, Bridget. How often will students be required to wear masks?
Hi, Ron. This is Alicia. So what we're looking at, based on all of the guidance that we have from all of our DHEC and CDC, is face coverings will be required anytime you're on campus and moving about the campus between classes and things, except for students that are in their private rooms in their residence halls. And that's certainly where we'll start the semester, because we know that's the best way right now available to us to prevent transmission. So that will certainly be an adjustment for all of us, but it's students, faculty, staff, guests to the campus. That is what we'll be working on for the fall semester.
If I might add, Ron, we definitely want students in class to have on their masks. We will not conduct class if students don't have a mask on.
Thank you. Next question. I'm going to try to skip some of the housing related questions that we've already addressed. This is a little more of a general question. Are freshmen required to live on campus? If they choose to live on campus, are they required to have the meal plan? Can someone quickly address that?
Hey, Ron, this is Amy. I can answer that really quickly. Freshmen are not required to live on campus. However, if they do choose to live on campus, they are required to have a meal plan. No one who lives off campus is required to have a meal plan. And as far as the roommate situation, so incoming freshmen are going to be given the opportunity to select their bed space. They're all going to be assigned a specific time slot to go in and do that. And their time slot is going to be based on the date that they completed their original housing application. So they may have different time slots than their roommates. So those who have earlier time slots can wait if the desired roommate has a later, and then see if they're able to get the housing that they want together.
Great. Thanks, Amy. Okay, next question is asking about the deadline, and that was addressed earlier. That was the 8th, correct? Is the deadline July 8th for housing?
So July 8th is the day that students need to go in and confirm that they still want housing. We will not charge any housing penalties for any students who cancel by July 15th, but we are asking students who know that they don't want housing to go ahead and cancel their application by July 8th, because again, we're trying to get an update on demand so that we have a firm understanding of who needs housing so that we can accommodate everyone.
Okay. Thanks, Amy. Okay, next question is about registration, online registration. When will online registration be back? You promised a completely online virtual alternative. However, I have been unable to change classes for weeks.
So I'll answer that, Ron. This is Fran again. So we had to close the online registration to students due to orientations beginning next Tuesday. If the student has declared a major, he or she can work with the department chair and work on their schedule, but the schedules won't open back up to students because we have back-to-back orientations beginning on the 7th of July. And I don't have that schedule in front of me, but I think it's through August the 8th. And so after that date, the schedules will open back up to students. But meanwhile, I know that we've been able to work with students through department chairs and through the Academic Advising Center to work on their schedules. I hope this is helpful to you.
Thanks, Fran. Okay, next question. My son has already had 2 classes go online. Is there a possibility for other classes to go online upon the start of the semester?
Those decisions, this is Fran again, but those decisions will be made before the start of the semester. We're working on reassigning classes now to alternative spaces on campus that haven't previously been used as teaching and learning spaces. And so we're working on that now as we go. And as soon as we've defined as many of the alternative teaching and learning spaces as we can, we realize we want to have as many of our classes as possible in a hybrid or blended format. But trust me, I mean, we're doing our best to make that happen. We're not a campus that has a lot of very large classroom and non-classroom spaces. So please bear with us as we move forward to finalize the plans for fall semester.
All right, thank you. Next question. For classes that will be in person, is a student allowed to choose to attend class remotely or in person on a day-by-day basis, or is it an option they have to opt in or out for the whole semester?
I'll take that one too. We're working with faculty to ask them to send their syllabi to students a week before classes start. And then we're asking faculty to have some systematic way of working with students to divide them into groups to determine who would attend class on a particular day face-to-face and who would be in a distance education format using Zoom or some other format. So it will be left to the individual faculty member based on the content of their course, based on the size of the classroom, based on the way that the content for the course can be delivered best. And so the individual faculty member will work with his or her students. And again, you know, our faculty have been in professional development throughout the summer to help them do the best job possible to deliver this education using a hybrid or blended format.
Thanks, Fran. And the next question is very much related, but can a student opt to do all their classes virtually if they so choose?
We do have that option, and again, the student would need to work with his or her advisor, either the advisor in the Academic Advising and Planning Center if the student hasn't declared a major yet, or their student in the major if they have declared a major, or the department chair for that major or program director for that major.
Thank you. Question about fitness facility. Why is the fitness facility not going to be open? When will it open? Our kids need to exercise.
Hi, Ron. I'll take this one, and we agree with you in Campus Rec. So we are working on, right now our Campus Rec team is working on a plan for this, and they will likely have that next week for review by one of our working groups. And we are working on a way to open these open the fitness facilities as soon as classes begin. And as soon as we have that plan approved, we will update the website with that information. That was something we were carrying over from the summer, but we hear you and we're figuring it out.
Thanks, Alicia. Question about dining halls. Can you elaborate on the plan for dining halls?
Hey, Ron, this is Amy. Again, I'm happy to answer this. So we're currently working with our business partner, Earmark. We're making modifications to services and possibly hours of operation to reduce virus transmission while continuing to provide a variety of quality dining options to students. We'll be following operational and cleaning procedures as recommended by the CDC and DHEC. Some changes that we're making include reducing seating capacity inside the locations. We're eliminating self-service buffet stations and increasing to-go options at all of our locations. We're also working to implement mobile ordering technology in our high-traffic retail locations. And we are also considering transitioning one of our retail locations in Stern Center to allow that kitchen to be used to make meals for to-go orders for delivery to students who are in quarantine and isolation. But our plans are still, being developed, and our goal is to provide a safe dining option in all of our locations for students.
Thanks, Amy. Next question is about opportunities for students to socialize, particularly with common areas in the dorms, some of those not being available. What sort of freedoms will students have to move around and socialize?
Sure, Ron, this is Alicia. So certainly for all of our students, and we know how important it is for first-year students to make that connection, we're working on a number of ways, programming virtually and in small groups in person, they can do this. We're also really working to get information to and from faculty so they can include some activities in their class and some different ways where students might connect in the classroom. Again, we're working on the wellness series that I think will also be a place where students can gather, but we're really taking our weeks of welcome that help students transition, and we're really transforming them to be ways that are socially distant and safe, but still allow for those connections. Also in the residence halls, the RAs will be working with students in different ways, virtually and one-on-one safe distant conversations, and then helping them know how they can connect to another student as well. So instead of doing a lot of things in large groups, we'll be doing a lot more things and in smaller ways, smaller groups of people.
Thanks, Alicia. This next one will be for you as well. It's about the fitness center. Just can you talk about some fitness opportunities that will be available since the fitness center will be closed and it will be also hot outside?
Sure, yes, and as I noted, I think when we had a similar question to this just a few minutes ago, we are working on a plan to open that center for the fall. We think that's really important. And then we'll also certainly be providing information to students on outdoor opportunities that can be safe. And we'll also, regardless, continue our virtual fitness program, which has had a lot of success and been really enjoyable this summer. So we'll have multiple ways folks can engage in that. We agree with you, that's really important.
Thanks, Alicia. Amy, I know you talked about the dining halls a minute ago. Just regarding off-campus students, can you talk about the meal plan options there?
Sure. We have a variety of meal plan options for students who live off campus. Of course, they can purchase one of our board plans that allows for 12 meals per week or all access. And then we also have smaller block plans ranging from as small as 40 meals per semester all the way up to 120 meals per semester. And of course, there are options to reload those plans throughout the semester. We also have the option of an all dining dollars plan to give students the flexibility depending on their needs.
Thank you. Next question, are parents allowed to visit this fall/winter?
Hi, Ron, this is Alicia. And certainly for student personal travel and family travel, those will not be things we would manage. So we would hope families can get safely to Charleston, they would come and visit their student and find, places to gather in the city or in our common spaces where we can keep you socially distant. Certainly the Stern Center and some other places on campus will be open for this. So we hope you'll come and see your students.
And so related question for move-in day, somewhat related. Can parents be in the dorms on move-in day and as well as families? Can you kind of walk through that plan for move-in day with the social distancing, Amy?
Sure. So right now our plans are limiting the number of people to one. However, we are, reviewing this as we've de-densified buildings. We may be able to reconsider that. Of course, we understand that move-in day is a great experience for families, and we want, to be able to allow both parents, if we can safely do so, to be with their students on move-in day.
Thank you. Next question. If you're coming in from out of state, will a 2-week quarantine be required prior to move-in?
Hi, this is Bridget McLernan Sykes from Student Health Services. There aren't currently any restrictions for people coming in from domestic locations to quarantine when they come to Charleston. However, there are some states where you will be asked to quarantine when you return home. So returning home to New Jersey, New York, and Connecticut currently have a 2-week quarantine when you return back to your location.
Great. Thanks, Bridget. I know we're running a little short on time here, but we'll try to get to a few more questions. Will there still be peer teaching opportunities in the fall?
I'm assuming you're talking about our peer facilitators in our first year seminars, and that will be still the model for our first year seminars this fall.
Thanks, Fran. Next question, will club sports be allowed to take place this fall? Will teams be able to meet and practice?
Hi, Ron. This is Alicia again. So we are moving forward to provide some parameters. Those are outlined in the plan. We'll be minimizing how far students can travel and not supporting overnight travel right now until things might look safer, but they will be able to meet and practice. There will be guidelines in place that Campus Recreation will help them understand. And so we are hoping to be able to provide that, provided other places are also able to compete.
Thank you, Alicia. Next question, Fran, will physical activity classes still take place?
Yes. And we do have a number of those for fall semester, and they will be offered at a distance and also in Silcox Gym, not just in Johnson.
Got it. Thank you. Next question, when students leave at the end of the semester to return home for break, will we be able to leave our belongings in the dorms until we return in January? I am from out of state and wondering if I will need to store my belongings.
Hi, Ron. I can take that one as well. Our hope right now is that is something you would be able to leave your items and return to that space in January. So that's the plan we have right now. And of course, as we all know, things are fluid and might change as we get more information going into the fall. But hopefully we get this managed and that you can go home and then return to your same space in January.
Great. Thank you. Next question is about masks and social distancing. I believe this was covered, but it doesn't hurt to reiterate. masks and social distancing are very much required, right?
There's no question about mask in classrooms. I mean, no mask, no class is our motto. And that's the Speaker of the Faculty, Simon Lewis's. We give him credit for that. And we just have to have a healthy and safe campus. And for our students, but also for our faculty members. I mean, this is serious. And so we want to take every necessary precaution to have the safest possible environment on our campus during fall semester and throughout the academic year.
Thanks,
And
Brandon.
I want to say
Please.
that social distancing is also required in the classroom, and we do have enough space for students to keep their 6 feet distance from each other.
And
Those-
if I could speak up here, this is Bridget from Student Health Services. One of the reasons that we have this in place where we will be having masks and the social distancing in class is to help make sure that the classes continue to function. If we're able to have students both social distancing in class and also everyone wearing masks, then if in the event that someone becomes positive in the classes, then the whole class won't have to quarantine. Those people in the class won't be considered close contacts. So it's a way to keep everyone in class and to keep us all moving forward. So there's a real method to the madness.
Thank you. Let's try to do 2 more here. Next question. In the event of a deferment until fall 2021, a student awarded a merit scholarship for 2020 will risk not being awarded that merit scholarship for 2021. Is this correct? Suzette, it looks like you addressed that in the chat.
I have answered that in the chat. Basically, it depends on what your activities are during that year. If you do decide, or the student decides to attend another college, then they will be a transfer student and would not be then eligible for their freshman scholarship. However, if they're coming in as a freshman, we potentially could re-award that scholarship or delay that scholarship.
Thank you. Next question, will RAs be required at the off-campus locations?
Hi, Ron, this is Alicia again. And yes, our plan is to have staff available at those locations. As we figure out the details of where students will be, we'll figure out certainly how to best staff them to support those students.
Thanks, Alicia. Next question is just, someone would like to know if it's guaranteed that we will be able to try to find housing for upperclassmen.
Hi, Ron, I can take that one as well. As Amy mentioned, we are working really hard to find what's available in Charleston, and we're going to make every effort to do that. That's why responding by July 8th is really important to us, and as we try to figure this out. So we're going to do the very best we can to provide that.
Great, thank you. Okay, last 2 questions. Will there be a parent weekend?
Hey, Ron, this is Alicia again. So maybe fortunately for us, we moved our family weekend out of the fall semester a couple of years ago after it kept always falling on a hurricane evacuation weekend. So we actually do a family fun day program series in the spring. So hopefully we will be able to still continue to do that. And certainly we can work on some virtual components if coming in person is not possible.
Thank you. Okay, last question. I've read that Charleston has warranted a $50 fine for those who are without a mask in public spaces. Are any of the resident halls or college buildings subject to this?
Hey, Ron, I can try to take that question, and there might be other folks that are more familiar than I am. But certainly any ordinance that's in place in Charleston for public spaces, the college is a public space. So if folks weren't wearing that and were found by our city police, it's possible they could receive that fine. But certainly once inside the residence hall rooms and things like that, that's private space and wouldn't be monitored. But of course, they don't need to wear face coverings in their private rooms either. Are there other folks that might have a thought on that?
I guess not. Okay. let's wind down. And just a reminder, we will do more of these town halls. Oh, making sure nobody was talking. We'll do more of these town halls. So that's going to conclude today's event. Before I send it back to President Hsu for closing remarks, I just want to remind everybody that you can stay up to date on College of Charleston news by visiting the college today at today.cfc.edu. And of course, our plan for fall 2020 back on the bricks that President Hsu mentioned, that is available online at go.cfc.edu/bricks. And then finally, you can also visit our COVID-19 landing page, cfc.edu/COVID-19. You'll find FAQs there and video recordings of past town halls. And with that, I'll turn it back over to President Hsu for closing remarks. President Hsu.
Thank you, Ron. I want to thank all of you, the students and family members, for participating today. I understand that today we have received over 500 questions, and there's just no way that we could go through all of them. So I will ask our staff to schedule another town hall for our students and families next week to continue our discussion. I hope today you have heard this singular message repeated several times in different ways today, that student and employee safety is our #1 priority. Every day, college leadership is closely monitoring the changing circumstances surrounding the spread of COVID-19 in South Carolina and in Charleston County. While we continue to prepare for the resumption of in-person classes in the fall, we're also making contingency plans and will adjust if conditions worsen. As a liberal arts institution, we teach flexibility, adaptability, and creativity. It's more than a bragging point or some catchy marketing tagline. It is truly a way of looking at the world differently and problem solving in new and inventive ways. And we as a campus community will do that each and every day. Thank you again, and have a happy and safe July 4th. Good night.